Peace and power to you all, family. I do not own the rights to this music, but let's consecrate this atmosphere. Peace and power to you all, family. Thank you again for tuning in. Tune in as we consecrate this atmosphere. We diving deep today. What is a prophet to a prophet? And look at it, showtime, almost. Again, thank you all for tuning in. Welcome back, family. We about to tap in and dive deep, but let's consecrate this atmosphere first. It's a classic right here. Listen to the lyrics really quickly. All right, that's good. Man, she got vocals, yo. We about to get started in just a moment. Drop a comment if you're tuning in. I want you to check out my YouTube channel if you haven't subscribed to it yet. It's called Nicholas Mason. You can follow the channel. You can see all the latest videos that I posted. And you can follow the movement as we break bread and we continuously grow each and every day. Matter of fact, I'm going to drop it in the comments below. And I want you to subscribe to the channel. We're going to rock and roll together, family. What up, what up, what up? It's your boy, Nicholas Mason, coming to you with the evening legislation solely for your mental edification. Let's drop this dime. So today I gave you the word of today. What a word Wednesday. And today's word was not just one word, but it was two words, but they were one word spelled two different ways with two different meanings. The word is prophet. What is a prophet to a prophet? And that's today's topic. And the subtopic going with what is a prophet to a prophet is going to be, if you understood the lesson, you wouldn't fear the challenge. I'll say that again. If you understood the lesson, you wouldn't fear the challenge. See, today I'm going to dive deep and teach you the different balances of the scale when it comes to understanding knowledge of self, knowledge of your environment, knowledge of the inside of you and how it affects the outside of you. And then I'm going to teach you the manifestations of a prophet and how the prophet gives and transcends and pours into you. How does a prophet make profit for a prophet? What'd you say, Nick? But before we do all this, let's dive deep. Let's go to the throne of grace. I want to bless you all. Spirit of the living God, fall fresh. I want to thank you for another day, another life, another opportunity to receive your prosperity, Lord God. I pray that you continuously keep us humble and keep us grounded as you elevate us and take us to new heights and new altitudes. Give us the strength to fight in the midst of the battle and the circumstance, but to have peace and to know that you are ultimately in control. I want to thank you for these words and this time of studying as we come together. Even though our country is at a different turning point, we still have faith in the rock that you have given us. So as we go to your throne, those who may believe and those who are still seeking to find belief in something, I pray that you lay a message specifically in their hearts and in their minds. For these words that I profess are not mine, but they are unto you, Lord God. And it is so. Let's go. So today's word, we're going to talk about what is a prophet to a prophet. When we talk about what is a prophet to a prophet, I mean, what's a king to a god? What's a god to a king? What's a god to a non-believer that doesn't believe in anything? Shout out to your boy Kanye West. He ran for the presidency of the United States of America, but I digress. What is a prophet to a prophet? When we talk about what is a prophet to a prophet, I took some time off. You guys haven't seen me post as a while as far as doing a live podcast, because the podcast, I don't script them out. I essentially go through an experience throughout life, and I like to give you an organic experience when I'm teaching you something, when I'm breaking bread with you. And I encourage you to always, like, comment, share, subscribe. I want to do this back and forth, this proper reciprocity. See, we can't survive our bread alone, but everything proceedeth out of the mouth of God. See, God gives us the message, and this is why you haven't seen me, but I got a new message for you. And the message today is, what is a prophet to a prophet? The prophet to a prophet is, if you learn the lesson, you won't fear the challenge. Oftentimes in life, we go through these continuous cycles, this off and on again, this yin and yang, this push and pull effect that causes us to either stay stagnant as to where we are right now, or we stretch beyond the measures and the confines that we were currently standing in, or that we were currently in. Now, when we talk about what is a prophet to a prophet, did you learn the lessons of the prophets? Did you learn the lessons of your teachers? Did you learn the lessons of those who came and dropped the good words into your ears? It doesn't always have to come under the countenance of this holy doctrine right here, but it comes under knowing that someone came and spoke principle, spoke morale, integrity, spoke character into your dead situation. Excuse me. So what is a prophet to a prophet? See, for a prophet comes about to bring a message to the masses, to bring a knowledge to the masses. Now, some of you may be thinking, those of you in the back, is Nick saying he's a prophet? I didn't say none of that. I'm just me. I'm just the simple human known as Nicholas Mason, moving forward. But what is a prophet to a prophet? You find out today that people are propagating and people are parading and people are cheerleading on these false ideals that lead you into a great pool of deception. And here you are, they're profiting off of your disparity. The common robbing from the poor to stay rich. The rich staying rich and the poor staying poor. The common factors we find is people are propagating and people are rallying and people are petitioning for which side of the lesser two evils to choose from, but they never considered, should they choose themselves over the poison? See, you had a choice when it came to knowing the prophet and what's the profit to getting a prophet. See, when you want to make a profit, we think of money. We think of cars, we think of clothes, we think of women, we think of men, we think of sex, we think of food, we think of material things. But to have profit, a reporter asked Bob Marley, would you rather be rich or would you rather be wealthy? And Bob responded, what do you mean when you say wealthy? You're a very wealthy man, Bob, he says to Bob Marley. And Bob Marley said, wealthy in what means? Wealth, Bob said in response, Bob Marley, he said, wealth comes under just to paraphrase it, comes under the countenance of knowing who you are, what you are, why you are, and how that you are, and where you're going. Being a prophet, gaining the profit of the prophet, to understand the wealth of who you are. You are your greatest marketing tool. What you look like is how people will perceive you. How you talk, the choice of your diction and linguistics will be the ultimate choice of those who subscribe to the channel called Your Life. And what is a profit to a prophet? Bob Marley understood that wealth is not about the dollar. Wealth is not about the cars and material thing, but wealth is knowing the principles, knowing the morale and character of who you are and what you are. See, the Bible tells us, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and spiritual wickedness and rulers of this dark world lurking in high places. See, I'm going to slow it down for you. For we wrestle not against the flesh, nor the blood. We all bleed when we get cut. We all get bruised when we get hit wrong. But we don't wrestle against that. Yeah, we wage wars against different countries. Yeah, we wage wars with different family members. Yeah, we wage wars with different jobs. Yeah, we wage wars with different church families and church members and so on and so forth. We've always had the waging of the war when it came to the flesh. But the waging of the war is not based upon flesh and blood, but it is upon the principles. It is upon the spiritual wickedness. It is understanding that your principles, your character, your content will be the profit in the end and the beginning of what you are to be, here and now, tomorrow, and forevermore. You see, when Christ went into prayer and he had to go into solitude after doing all these miraculous things, he asked for Peter, John, and James to come with him and hold him down while he went to go pray. And you might have had some people while you going through it where you needed, some people to hold you down while you going through some sticky stuff. You got a target on your back, people coming for you. You doing great things and people just, oh, he doing good. I got something for him. You know what I'm saying? I don't like that. Or she doing too much. I got something for him. You got to call in your circle. I talked about the 3 C's. The 3 C's are talking about your constituents, your confidants, and your comrades. So your comrades are against what you're against. Your constituents are for what you're for. And your confidants are your ride or dies. They'll hold you down till the wheels fall off. You know what I'm saying? Excuse me. But what is a profit to a prophet? See, a prophet comes and brings you something that you can hold, not with the material hands. See, something that the eyes can't touch, that the eyes can't see, that the hands can't touch, that the bras can't beat. And that's you, as J. Cole would say. And you got to know that this is an inside thing. See, the prophet is the wealth of who you are and your principles. If I could take you to the rock right now, where do I go when there's no foundation stable? Who do I turn to when there's nobody who wants to listen? Well, I go to this rock right here, because in this rock, I find firm foundation and affirmation and confirmation to what is missing in this legislation I call Nicholas Mason. So, if you got a Bible, if you don't, just tune in, tap in. I'm about to break bread with you anyhow. Okay? So, I want to take you to Acts 3 and 6. And it says in Acts 3 and 6, this is the time where Peter was pretty much preaching about the Pentecost, okay? Now, while Peter was preaching at Pentecost, he was going into this new temple, him and John. And after they had preached the Pentecost, they was going into this temple, talking about this temple in the city of Beautiful. In Acts 3 and 6, it talks how Peter and John had seen this lame man who was a beggar. And he would sit there every day in front of this temple. He would sit there and essentially beg and ask for money, food, cars, clothes, whatever. You got people in your life who sit around who ask, can I borrow $20? Can I hold your car? Can you let me borrow your shirt? Can I borrow your shoes? Now that's all right. God made you the head and not the tail. God made you above and not beneath. God made you a lender and not a borrower. But you got some people in your life who just like to borrow just a little too much. Now, what happens is in Acts 3, it talks about how Peter and John they were walking into the temple after the hour of prayer. It was the 9th hour of prayer. And they seen this lame man. And this lame man was sitting in front of the gates asking for change, food, money, whatever he could get to sustain his ailments. Now, Peter and John locked eyes with this lame man. And when he locked eyes with him, the lame man was anticipating that Peter and John would give him something of the material wealth to bring him, healing to his ailments. Peter and John seeing this, 3 and 6, it says, then Peter said to the lame man, silver and gold have I none, but such as I have to give is in the name of Jesus Christ. Get up and walk. Now, silver and gold have I none, but such as I do have, which is in Jesus Christ. Now, you may not subscribe to Jesus Christ. You may not subscribe to Christianity. Now, this is not about religion. This is about principle. Now, you won't fear the challenge if you learn the lesson. See, this lame man had been sitting out there for God knows how long. He always had someone come to drop him off. You have people in your life who always seem to find a way around in your life, or you know them in your family. You might know a friend. You might see somebody on the job who is always looking for a handout when they really can hand themselves a handout. And what happens is, I learned that the prophet made profit when he taught the young student how to gain his own profit. See, when it says in 3 and 6, Peter said, silver and gold have I none, but such as I have to give is in the name of Jesus Christ. Rise up and walk. Get up and walk. And we use that scripture as a way of encouraging, but I want to go beyond just 3 and 6. It continued to say, and he looked, and he took him by the right hand, and he lifted him up, and immediately his feet and his ankles and his bones received strength. See, the prophet, his whole ordeal of gaining his profit is not of the material wealth. Today, you see in the churches today, you might watch online where people want to prophesy and people want to teach to you and people want to give you this $5 hotline gospel. And the gospel don't work like that. See, the prophet takes profit not when he goes to these churches and receives these honorary blessings from the ministers. The prophet doesn't receive the blessing when the people fall out, when they get touched on the forehead. The prophet doesn't receive the profit when the people are worshiping him, but the prophet receives the profit when you understand the lesson. See, when you understand the lesson, you won't fear the challenge. See, the prophet gains the profit. He gains profit when the masses have learned their lesson. See, Moses went to Mount Sinai to receive the word from God. You have people in your life who have struggled. Maybe your mom, matter of fact. Maybe your dad, matter of fact. Maybe your grandma, your auntie, whoever was your guardian in life, has spoken something into you and has gone the distance to push you beyond the measures of your expectation to see you do better than what you are currently doing right now. They have set the foundation. They have laid the track work by setting the principles into you. I thought as a child and I acted as a child when I was a child. But when I became a man, I put away those childish things and carried out the work that God had for me. You see, when we talk about what is a prophet to a prophet, see, your parents were your first prophets. They spoke something over you. You got to declare and decree. This is still the year of the master class. This is still the year where you don't be humble. You got to be great, because when I tell you the prophet gains the prophet, what is a prophet to a prophet? The prophet gains the prophet essentially when the people learn the lesson. See, when Moses taught these people the 10 commandments, and then he taught them more of the principles of God, and he brought them out of Israel, out of bondage, the children of Israel out of bondage, and he had to teach them how to build a tabernacle and had to regroom and reshape them. Some of you may have come from a broken life. You come from the sticks and mud of life, and life didn't seem to give you nothing. But here you are on the precipice of your greatness. And did you get the profit from the prophet? Did the prophet get the profit from you? Did you learn the lesson? Did you learn why you had to go through them dark nights? Did you learn why you had to struggle for a little bit? Did you learn why you had to be in those trenches? For in your trenches, silver and gold have you none, but such as you do have in yourself. You got to declare, you got to decree, you got to speak over yourself. You got to encourage yourself. I look good. Yes, I do. I smell good. I'm feeling good, and I'm saying good things, and I'm changing better people's lives, even more for the better. This is what the prophet's profit is. This is the proper recompense to the prophet. See, Moses went to Mount Sinai to bring the word of God to the people. Jesus was teaching the masses, and he went to the cross. You know what I mean? Joseph had to go through slavery. Joseph had to go through Potiphar's house. Joseph had to sit in prison. You know what I mean? Peter and John had to get arrested. Judas had to sell out Christ. See, the prophet, the lesson you learn through your struggle, through your cycle, is where you get the blessing from. See, people who speak over you and see the goodness in you, people who see the positivity in you, I'm not here to preach to you, but I'm here to break some good bread unto you. People who want to see the goodness in you, and people who want to see the upbuildment of you, and people who want to see the latter effects of what you are to become, they speak this into you. Your mom and dad, they taught you how to walk, talk, dress, how to carry yourself. And you didn't learn, as Maya Angelou said, when the people show you their actions, believe them. Don't believe what they say, but follow what they do. But in the culinary world, the chef would tell you, do as I say and not as I do. That is a wise teacher. See, what is a prophet to a prophet? After Peter had said to this lame man, silver and gold have I none, but such as I have, and Jesus Christ, get up and walk. When he spoke power and life into a dead situation, when you are down and out, when you don't have this money, when you don't have everything you need, when you don't have the job, when COVID seems to stress you out, when your kids seem to be getting on your last nerves, when that job ain't going right, when them bills are due, and when them debts are high, and the funds are starting to run dry, when you just seem to feel like all hell is breaking loose in your life, you got to know that silver and gold you may not have at that point in time, but you got to know that God didn't bring you this far to leave you. Did you learn that you made it over the last hill? Did you learn that you made it through the last valley? Did you learn how you got out of that last hole? See, it's all here to stretch you beyond the measures of your basic confines. Our deepest fear is that we are not inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond our measure. I want to give you guys just a little side note. I was on my way home today, and I used to take the public transportation. You know what I mean? Sometimes I drive my car, and sometimes, I take the public transportation. It is what it is. Today I took the public transportation. And I was coming back home from work, and I typically see these group of folks, on the train, and they're socializing, doing that thing, but they're louder than norm, and they always find a way to be around me where I'm sitting. And it's two beautiful women, and then there's some older guy. And today they were talking about all this stuff going on with politics and all this stuff going on with the vaccination. And they seem to go into this circle of they don't know. I don't know what's to happen. I don't know what's going to go on. I don't know how things are going to turn out. And God just kept saying to me, and I'm not perfect, because I don't want y'all to think I'm some perfect man up here teaching you something. I'm just a brother who's inspired to give you something that you may not have. And if you do have it, I encourage you to share it. And this is why I do what I do. Now, what happened is they was talking about, oh, I'm gonna get the vaccination, but I won't get tested. I'm gonna make sure if I ain't got the COVID, I ain't gotta go get tested. And I know if I got COVID, blah blah blah. And if the vaccination come out, I'm get the vaccination. I asked him, I said, brother, if you won't get tested, why would you dare get the vaccination? And I just thought that was kind of crazy for you to say you would get the vaccination, but not the test. See, you didn't learn the lesson. That's what I thought. If you learned the lesson, you wouldn't fear the challenge. See, you fear taking the test. I told him, I said, you fear taking the test because you didn't learn the challenge. You fear the opposition, but you didn't learn the challenge. And I had to tell him a little bit of word. I said, the Bible tells us, if my people who are called by my name would humble themselves and turn away from their wicked ways, then will I heal the land, and then will they hear from heaven, and God will begin to move in that situation, essentially. And I told him, a lot of times we follow what's on the blue screen, what's on the television, what's on the television, what we see on our Instagram and our social media feed. But if we took a second to look at what's going on actually in our world, what you see out of your two lenses, your eyes, what you see out of these two things, what you see around you, what you feel around you. And when you realize and you tap into what's around you and you don't feel trouble, you don't feel dismay, you don't feel disruption, only when you actually look at the television or only when you look at that blue screen do you find pain, do you find dysfunction, do you find chaos, insecurity. See, the prophet told us man cannot survive off bread alone, but everything that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. See, you got to have a moment with God. See, the only way you can gain the profit from the prophet, and the only way the prophet can gain the profit from what he taught unto you and to the masses, is if the people would learn the lesson. See, Christ was talking to the elders, and he said to the elders, he said, you know what? I am the bread. This bread is my body. And he told the disciples, this bread represents my body. Take, eat, do this in remembrance of me. Now, to the elders who have had tradition and how the things would go in the old Talmud and the old Torah, and how things were going even during the times of the Holy Quran, they would tell, they were in tradition. But tradition calls for a rendition. And with a rendition, you got to have some new and some old. See, it's a new marriage coming into place. See, the prophet was about to gain this prophet when he told him, this is my body. Take, eat, and do this in remembrance of me. Now, when we think about Christ, what did Christ do? What was Christ doing? Christ was teaching. Christ was breaking bread with man. Christ was inspiring. Christ was encouraging. Christ was declaring. Christ had authority. See, you can have your authority. You can speak over your situation. You can declare and decree. You can be more than what you say you are, but you have to see it for what it is. See, you can't look to your left. You can't look to your right, but you got to know that it's all inside of you. See, people may see the outside of you because you know you might got a nice swagger going on. You got a good little facade going on, but people will know the blessing is on you because the blessing doesn't start from being placed on you. It starts within you. See, when the words come out of your mouth, it'll be like living water. See, if you serve in two different masters, people will know that you serve two different masters. It's like having salt water or getting a gulp of some salt water in your mouth when you go to the beach. But if you're speaking of living water, it'll be like that fresh mineral alkali water. That water that replenishes the whole body. And one sip, you're just like, man, that hit the spot. Christ said to his people, he said to the elders, and he said to these disciples of his, this bread is my body. Take, eat, do this in remembrance of me. Christ was breaking knowledge unto the dead situation. Just like Ezekiel spoke life into a dead situation, which was the valley of dead bones and dry bones. Just like Joseph spoke life into a famine situation. He spoke into the Pharaoh situation, and from him speaking into the Pharaoh situation, my God, that he healed the land, that he healed his family. Because what they meant for his evil, God began to work out for his good. See, what's working in your life right now, you might be going through a storm right now. You may not feel like you're on level ground. You may not feel that things are where they should be. But even though you're going through a cycle, the prophet can only gain his profit, and you can only gain your recompense from the same teaching of the prophet if you were to learn the lesson. See, if you don't learn the lesson, you'll fear the challenge that comes with it. See, David could have feared Goliath, but he understood that the oil flowing on his head and all that he went through with tending to the sheep and the flocks, and although he had just a sling and a rock, he knew that if God before me, who can be against me? What is a prophet to a prophet? Then Christ would say, this wine is in representation of my blood, which is the New Testament. Take this, eat, drink, and do this in remembrance of me. For if a man eat of this bread, and if a man drink of this cup, and he do these things unworthily, he bring damnation to himself. See, what is the bread and what is the wine? What is the prophet to the prophet? The bread is the knowledge. See, when someone gives you knowledge, knowledge is power. And knowledge is power for the simple fact it gives you choice, which is the greatest gift given unto humans. Humans have free will, not like the animals, not like the insects, not like the birds, not like the beasts of the deep. But humans have free will once given choice and power and knowledge unto them. But here's the kicker. You can be given knowledge and know nothing of understanding the depths of the knowledge. What is a prophet to a prophet? See, I can give you some knowledge right now. I could be breaking bread that's blowing your mind right now. You might be like, where is all this coming from? What is a prophet to a prophet? The words aren't coming from me, but they're coming from within me on a deeper level. And this deeper level is going to tap in and touch and agree with your deeper level with inside of you that will spark you to touch and agree with somebody else. And hopefully, if you do see what I'm teaching and what I'm breaking unto you, then will I receive the blessing, because you'll begin to be a blessing unto someone else. The bread and the wine is the knowledge. See, you eat a piece of bread, non-leavened bread, and the bread is stale, it's dry, like that old church cracker you get on Communion Sunday. The wafer make your mouth dry, ain't got not a lick of salt on it or nothing. Then that little bit of drip of wine make your cheeks and your jaws lock up. You're sitting there looking like a pit bull in the pew. You know what I'm saying? This right here is to understand when you get bread, when somebody breaks knowledge unto you, you can get the knowledge. But now, if I push that knowledge to a depth that you now understand it, this is a choice where you can have power to enlighten yourself or degrade yourself. What is a prophet to a prophet? Today, we're all searching to and fro, high and low, to the ends of the earth, trying to find out what's to come. Everybody's on high. The tensions are high. COVID-19 has really taken the United States of America. It has taken the world as we know it and grabbed it by the horns and then brought it down, put his head in the dirt, and then hog-tied it up. This is how 2020 feels for a lot of people. For the black community, having to deal with Ahmaud Arbery dying, Kobe Bryant dying, having to deal with Chadwick Boseman dying, the idea of the Black Panther dying, John Lewis, Elisha Cummings. I mean, just so much loss, so much pain. Rance Allen. I mean, my God. Alex Trebek. You know what I mean? Like, I can't even tell you. It seems like so many people are dropping like flies. It's not even enough time to grieve. Then when you look at the news, you got Trump doing this and you got Biden doing that, and then you got Antifa over here, then you got Black Lives Matter over here, and everybody's just searching to and fro, high and low, trying to find out which man has the right word, which woman has the right word coming out of her mouth or his mouth that's going to bring a profit unto me. I learned something is going to change a while ago. I learned something not too long ago that something big is going to happen, that the world is going to change. But I just don't know what it is. Well, where do I go when there's nobody I can turn to? Who do I talk to? Let me stop playing. When there's no foundation stable. This rock right here has any and everything that you're searching for. I don't go under the pretense of saying I'm a religious man. I'm a man of God, and God works and shifts and molds and through me. See, religion gives you tradition, and tradition gives you a psychological comfortability about what death will bring you. See, you can't fear the inevitability. You can't fear of growing up. You can't fear of, getting old. You can't fear of falling down once learning how to walk. You can't fear of your teeth falling out as a child and your adult teeth coming in. You can't fear of, getting to that next level in life. See, silver and gold you may not have. You may not have all the money you need to start your business. You may not have your life together how you want to get in that relationship. You may not have all that you need to be all that you can be, but you got to speak over yourself. You got to encourage yourself. And when you speak over yourself and encourage yourself, Christ told you, do this in remembrance of me. When you take this bread that is broken unto you today, my brothers and sisters, and when you drink this wine of understanding today, my brothers and sisters, do it not in vain. Do it not to say that this brother thinks he knows what he's talking about. Do it not to say that I don't need that, or that ain't for me, that didn't resonate with me. But do it to challenge yourself to understand that the prophet gains the profit when you understand the lesson. See, you wouldn't fear the challenge of Donald Trump challenging the United States of America to get back in office and not to concede. You wouldn't fear the ideal of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris being the new president and vice president-elect. You wouldn't fear the idea of someone taking something from you if you knew who you are and what you are, how you are, where you're going, and why you're going there. See, Christ asked his disciples, who do people say that I am? And only one of them could tell him who he was. See, you may be searching to and fro and high and low and in and out, and in this relationship, out that relationship. You're at this church, now you're at this church. You're in this denomination, now you're this denomination. You was a Christian, now you're a Muslim. You're not a Muslim, now you're atheist. Now you're not an atheist, you found out you was a Hebrew. Now you're not a Hebrew, you're just I'm with the universe. You don't know where you're going. You're going to and fro, high and low. I like the crystals. I like the rocks. I like to smoke weed. I like to drink. You don't know who you are, but when I ask you what you are, you couldn't tell me. What is the prophet to a prophet? A prophet to a prophet is, did you learn the lesson, my brothers and sisters? Because the challenge is coming. The challenge is coming where you will be put to the test, where you will be put on Main Street and you will be asked the question, who do people say that you are? What do you stand for? What do you mean? How can you define yourself? And in that hour and in that time, if you don't know how and what, how and what and who to define you as, somebody else will give you a definition for who you are to be. Someone will give you a new meaning and a new purpose. See, when I think of the captives of war, and we look at the old classical tales of roots and how Kunta Kinte, the name Kunta Kinte, was something that gave him power because it was his name and his name gave him power. See, your name gives you power. The Bible talks about this in Genesis. If you want to know about your name, it talks in Genesis how Adam was given the dominion to name every creature, every animal, every fowl of the air, and every beast on the planet. See, and from him giving the name that they had, it gave the animal, the creature, the insect, the fowl of the air dominion in which their nature would act out in. See, your name defines out who you are. The challenges in your life comes about defining who you are. See, your challenges don't define you, but they mold you and stretch you to understand a deeper level of just who and what you really are. What is a prophet to a prophet? Don't worry about what's going on the outside today, family. Don't keep watching that television as it continues to shake your world. Don't get caught up on the reality TV. Don't get caught up watching all this social media feed and all this Johnny come lately news. Because I'm going to tell you, the revolution is not televised. And it's not televised because the lies only happen outside of you. You can continue to lie to yourself on the inside. You can continue to believe the lies that are coming from the outside. But still remember, just on the inside of you, the war starts when you lie to yourself. But the prophet can speak to you and teach you how to conquer that war. But you must know the prophet can only gain his profit when you have learned the lesson. So family, I'll leave you with this. Peace and power to you all. Don't be humble, family. Don't get caught up in what's going on with the politics because it's all a bunch of bullshit. And what do you take with horse shit or bullshit? You plant flowers with them. So while they trying to plant flowers of all this bullshit that's going on in politics, stick to who you are and what you got going on. Take a look at what's going on in your family. Take a look what's going on in your life. Take a look and see what's happening at your job place. And when you look and see what's going on and you don't feel tension and you don't feel dismay like you did from watching television, like you did from listening to all this hot mess and jargon from the media. Media is a way of mediating you whatever choice of information you subscribe to. So don't get caught up in the day-to-day BS because they're going to continue to plant flowers with the bullshit they selling you. Peace and power to you all, family. Until next time, don't be humble. Be great. Let's rock out. Bye-bye.